Good day, folks. You're in for a real treat. Today, I bring you the S&T Tar 21. Now, one thing that you're going to want to note when I'm starting to review this is not your standard S&T Tar 21. Your standard S&T Tar 21 will come with a plastic gearbox housed in the back. Now mine has some wear and tear on it. The semi-auto and safety features do not work fully, something that will probably go bad in time. Also, the charging handle on the side of my gun broke off. So, I have to access the hop-up system by manually pulling back the ejection port to access it. But when you do open it, you'll notice that the gearbox inside there is indeed metal. You can also pop the back butt plate off of the gun and see this as well. I'm not going to do that just for time's sake. However, the picture labeled right here should demonstrate the concept fairly well to you. The gearbox for this version is indeed metal. I highly suggest spending a little bit of extra money and getting the metal gearbox version. I believe it's only $10 to $15 more if you get it on AirsoftGI.com. And I tell you, having that peace of mind of having a metal gearbox is very, very much worth your money. So, if you do pop the butt plate off, which I'm not going to do for you right now, there are plenty of other videos on YouTube showing the same thing, you'll notice your metal gearbox along with your quick change spring system. This is great if you're switching this gun between CQB and field operations, so you can bring your FPS down below that 350 mark that most indoor ranges have, and up to that 400 or 450 FPS limit that most fields have. It has an operating bolt catch and spring release. As you can see here, my bolt is open. Simply depress it, and there you go. Your bolt closes. Depress a second time, and it will release any tension that is on the spring. There we go. I've put the spring at half tension just by releasing the trigger quickly, and you can audibly hear when it is pressed. Is there any tension on the spring? There we go. You can hear the spring tension release. This is a great feature if your battery dies halfway through a shot, or if you're just not sure if that spring tension has been fully released when you put it away for storage. Now the trigger pull is very, very long. This is one thing that I do not like. It makes accurate precision fire very difficult, especially if you learned how to shoot on an actual firearm. The trigger pull, still going, still going, still going. There it is. The trigger has to be pulled almost as far back as it can before it'll begin to shoot. The entire gun is made of fairly high quality ABS. I'm not really worried about this cracking or breaking, except for the top rail. The top rail has a tendency to wobble and slide a little bit, especially forwards and backwards, and it's not the same plastic the rest of the gun is, and it feels cheap. Now normally I don't care if a gun is full metal or not, as long as it's durable, accurate, and easy to maintain. So I do like having full metal, but as long as the gun functions just fine and isn't going to break on me, plastic doesn't bother me. Your front sight, it just feels like it's going to fall off on you if you hit it too hard. It's a very pointy little post. And your rear sight is a side flip with a very, very minuscule hole to work with. Your battery compartment, they say it fits an 8.4, but right now I have a 9.6 nunchuck in there, 1600 milliamp Tenergy one, and it works just fine. However, it does get a little bit tight with the wires in there. To open your battery compartment, there's a small button here, which you'll depress and slide off. I'm not going to do that right now, just because, you know, batteries are kind of a pain to get in there, especially when you have the extra wires and size of the 9.6 volt. So if people tell you that you can't have a 9.6 in this thing, they're lying. It's a tight fit, but it does indeed fit. And with a 9.6, you can get rates of fire much higher than that of an 8.4 volt. Flash hider, pretty sure it's glued on. kind of dorky orange. I'm not sure if it has a counterclockwise screw underneath it to add a barrel extension or a suppressor, but it's not that terrible. Now, one interesting thing that the Israelis did when they were designing this gun is they did not put a rail on the bottom. In later variants, they do have rails that extend all the way on the top, sides, and everything like that. But this is modeled more after the original variant of the Tar 21. What the Israelis would do is they would use this piece here, and they'd brace their forearm against it, and their wrist fits right in this groove here, and then it wraps right around. This is an incredibly tight way to hold the gun, and immensely more stable than even if you had, you know, your standard vertical foregrip. It just feels solid, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you are used to it, it's a very natural shooting position. It pulls the gun nice and tight in your shoulder. Great solid shooting position, can maintain accuracy very well. Now, this gun does indeed have an M4 length barrel. It is a bullpup, therefore you can have a very small package with a very long barrel. This means field accuracy in a CQB size gun. Now, you'll see magazine starts way back here. Your barrel runs the entire length of the gun. Next to me, I have my Mp5k Pdw. Your barrel starts here, runs to here. This is a 5-inch barrel. This is a full M4 length barrel. Now you're going to notice something about these two guns. They are almost the same length. When I hold them side by side, you will see that the Tar 21 is a hair longer, but that little bit of extra length really is not all that much, and it's fairly negligible. So to conclude, this is a wonderful close quarters gun with legitimate field implications. Having the M4 length barrel will allow you to get the accuracy to get out to further ranges. Having the quick change spring system allows you to be able to get up to 400 or even 450 FPS should you choose the right spring if you want to go field. Also, it makes it very easy to drop down on the FPS chart to that 350 mark for CQB. Very tight in your shoulder, makes movement quick, sharp, and fairly natural. And the magazines. Easy to change, easy to work with. Standard M4 magazines, compatible with nearly every player out on the field. The high enough rate of fire on a 9.6 volt battery is great for being able to send shower BBs down range, but not dumping your mag too quickly. So overall, you know, this gun, people give it a lot of crap for being plastic, but as long as you get the metal gearbox version, I think the internals are very solid. With the exception of your rail, the gun feels great. It's not going to break on you. Give it a shot.